Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm at Azul. I'm grateful to be here. So I've been at Azul doing some research in my own body, um, looking for and finding ways to expand pleasure within myself, and hopefully that's to share that with others. I'm doing a lot of shaking, a lot of movement. I have here my favorite little ball and like to sit on it and do a lot of movement into the pelvis, mostly because the pelvis is a place where a lot of us tend to hold a lot of trauma. Right now I'm taking notes on some of the things I noticed in my own body as I was exploring some of my movement work. And so I'm taking notes to give myself prompts, like things like, where can I soften? Where is there ease, effortlessness? What would make this better? And starting to just find cues that help me continue to seek and find pleasure in my own body. Yeah, at Azul, what I really hope to be able to do here is be influenced by the surroundings and nature. And I think that one of the big things that I miss in my life in New Orleans and other places is the connection to nature. And so when I'm being here and being surrounded by trees and birds and bugs, there's a sense of wildness that I get to reclaim in myself. And so one of the ways that I'm allowing that to influence me is to allow my own body to become more wild. Sitting on this ball just to help give myself a little bit of movement so that I know anytime I don't have to just sit still and be proper. So one of the things I'm exploring is how to connect to, again, my lower parts, so my hips, my pelvis, and find what wisdom lives there, and to see how it keeps me from being a full person. And I think this is true for all of us. So I'm really looking to develop a series of workshops that help people embody themselves and release trauma and begin to connect with others in a deeply rooted way. One visual I have of this is a lot of times in circles or in groups of people we talk about heart centers, or what speaks from our heart, and that's beautiful. And I want to invite a deeper question of what does it mean when we ask what's in our pelvis? What does my pelvis have to say today? And it sounds weird, but it's something that, in white supremacy culture and the histories of colonization, we, especially white people, have been separated from those parts of ourselves. And so because of that, we tend to separate ourselves from each other, people of color, so on. And so for me, the inquiry I have in my time here is to figure out how can I orient towards my pelvis, my lower half, and how does it influence my experiences of pleasure, my experiences of joy and connection to other people, and how does it fit into this world, these bigger questions of patriarchy and racism and sexism and trauma, really. Well, I was sitting here, as I sit in this room, it's amazing because I look at the windows. None of these windows, I think it's every 2 windows is painted differently. And then upstairs, every window is a different color. And it's why? Do we need to do that? No. But did Camille and the builders and carpenters think that's a good idea? Well, they did, because they wanted it, because there was a desire there to do it. And she followed, Camille, someone who's always taught me to follow your desire. And I think that is something that is really inspiring, because, you could just not do it. You can always choose not to have the thing you want, or, turn away from that thing that's really calling in you, the thing you're really afraid of, or the thing that is a little bit difficult or inconvenient. It's we can always choose not to do that. Just coming up here, it's 40 minutes from into the middle of nowhere. There's not necessarily like all the amenities you might have at home. You might forget your favorite food item, whatever, you know? And it's like, how do you make do and still, actually, how do you choose to still have the things that feed you? And so I'm really inspired by the craftsmanship and the beauty that surrounds us here, because it inspires me to continue to put that into myself and to seek it in others and in other places. Mm-hmm. So that is incredibly special, to be housed and be situated in an environment that is breathing that all the time, and every little detail, you know. It's like, it's the way the windows open, it's the way that, you know, she's painted every window a different color, or that the banisters are slightly different and have their own history.
Random balcony up there.
Yeah, the random balcony that is for no reason other than the view of this beautiful place, you know. So it's incredibly inspiring, and that's a big deal. You know, we're used to pushing ourselves, pushing, and in the work that I'm interested in is the opposite. You don't push, and if someone is having some resistance to pushing, you honor. You say, like, someone says, no, I don't want to do that. It's like, thank you so much, you know. And so the advice that I have is, like, really to honor your own boundaries, find out what those boundaries are, find out what where your no's are, where your yeses are, where your maybe is. And it's kind of like being able to do a little dance between them. And doesn't mean that, like, one day you might say no to something and the next day it might be a strong yes, or it varies. And it's like a willingness, right, to keep showing up and know it's going to change. Like, know you're going to get through it. Know that there's something, even if all you do is lay on the floor one day, that's something, you know, it's effort. And so I feel really lucky, though, that I've got some really great teachers, and I also have some sense, like, I've got these little moments that, like, give me enough to keep going, you know. But I think that's what we find out, is if you do just put in a little bit, whether it's just showing up, that most people find there's some reward, or something changes, something happens. And so my other piece of, like, advice maybe is that we can seek pleasure in anything, you know. The thing that I did today, when after I had pain and I was like, oh, I can't do anything, I made some chocolate balls. Like, I made these little chocolate balls, which I'll give you one. And because that's what I could do, and I made some, it was like something with my hands.
That tastes good, man.
That tastes good. I know I love it. It's something. So it's like going with what's familiar. You know, sometimes you want to go to what's unfamiliar, but, like, sometimes it's great to just go with what feels good to you already and what you already know. And that is really important, you know, and we can celebrate that. We can be like, I love, you know, not being ashamed. Shame is such a strong thing and such a strong hold on us that it's like you could feel shame for everything you do practically, but it's like, if we can find a moment to celebrate, like, anything that we truly love, like, that can start to grow in us. Well, I think as we get older, we get more scared. We get more and more afraid, because, you know, the adult brain is like, woo, it just can come with so many stories, and it gets locked into patterns, and, you know, the more years we have on us, the more ingrained those patterns are. But I think that people, as we get older, like, it becomes more and more important to be in the body, because it helps us, like, ease pain, joint pain, or other things like that, but also helps us drop out of our head. And someone has to be willing, though. Someone has to, like, you can't say, if someone's like, oh, well,
I'm beyond all that.
Yeah, they're I mean, I can say they're lost cause, but I'm not going to force anyone to do anything. So you have to be willing, and I think there are moments that people can start to get a glimpse of what's possible when they see other people doing it. So, you know, once, like, you know, if you learn to start to feel more pleasure in your body and you're exuding it in what you do because you've worked on that, the person next to you might see them and think, oh, okay. And we often, as adult brain people, we need to see someone else doing it and know it's possible for us to know that it's possible. So I think that is a key factor in that. If you don't see, if everyone around you is doing the same thing, you're all sitting around watching TV, that's what you're going to do, because it's that frequency we're all stuck at. and it becomes really hard to break out of that. Well, I would say that it's interesting for me because I've been to Azul as a visual artist before, and with Alternate Roots folks, I've been here. I've been so thankful for my Alternate Roots family and for Camille, because I was introduced to being a visual artist through that world and through the world of like, how do I become more free, and how do I bring everyone with me as I'm doing that? You know, if I'm over here working through my art and I'm just like, oh yeah, I feel free, that doesn't mean anything unless I bring you with me. So I feel so grateful that Azul has given me, and Roots have given me a really beautiful lens to look at life and look at creativity and justice and community. And the work that I'm doing is a direct result of all of that, and being able to have spent time here and at Roots as a visual artist, as a performing artist, and getting to be more and more like asking myself the question of like, how can I make this world a better place to live in for myself and like the people who I don't even know.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you.